Welcome to LaunchPod, where we chat with innovators who are overcoming challenges, pushing boundaries, and collaborating to make space more accessible and sustainable for humanity, one launch at a time.
It's one small step for man.
Here's your host, Susan Wise.
And welcome to LaunchPod, Space, Science, and Innovation. And I am so honored to have with us this time Eryn Andrews, NASA engineer. Welcome, and tell everyone a little bit more about what you do at NASA.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. And what I do, so specifically my job title right now is Human Performance Engineer. And the team that I'm with, we are researching human performance specifically for spacewalking on the moon. So what does it mean to be a human being on the moon? What does it do to you physically, mentally? We have a new spacesuit that's being developed. And so there's a whole ton of questions of how far, how hard, how long can we push a human body in this environment in a new spacesuit and have them still be safe, productive, and successful in their mission?
That's a lot of responsibility.
It is. And it's a lot. And even that's a bit of an umbrella term. It breaks down into so many little small groups there. But yeah, a lot of good stuff being done there. So in my role, we are research-based. So we will get a question from program management saying, for example, we're thinking about doing so many spacewalks while we're there, and we're only going to be there for a few days. And what if we did like 3 or 4 spacewalks in a row, back to back? Could we do that? And what's that going to do to the human body? Could they take it? And at first you're like, oh yeah, they could totally take that. But then you start asking yourself, like, is that going to be really mentally demanding? Or are they going to start being just so overwhelmed that they're not going to be able to make safe, logical choices? It's certainly going to be physically demanding. Working in a pressurized suit in a vacuum environment is hard work. And we've got a lot of experience from the International Space Station doing spacewalks there to have enough knowledge to say, yeah, that's even just one day. That's a hard day's work. It's like running a marathon all day long. And now you want to ask me to turn around in 3 more days back to back, run another marathon. And so we know enough to know we don't know enough. And now we're going to design experiments to actually get some hardcore answers. So we have a much better idea. So we can go back to program management and say, okay, we designed an experiment. We had test subjects come in and they played astronaut for us under these conditions. And here are the results that we saw. And maybe it's things that, yep, that tracks with what we were expecting. And then there's going to be things of, oh, wow, nobody expected this result. And that's going to be one of those like, okay, we need to maybe wait and think about this, or just this adds a whole new element that we hadn't considered before. So yeah, lots of unknown questions. It's the not knowing what you don't know paradigm.
Is this for Mars? Is this for
Right
Mars?
now, we are focusing exclusively on the moon.
Okay.
But the idea is that we're going to the moon to learn as much as we can to then enable us to go on to Mars. Because I think most of the scientific community is in agreement that the moon is a great testing ground for going extraterrestrial.
Okay. So in your experiments or in your training, have you ever had just a moment where you went, yes, or your aha moment, a breakthrough, something that you're really, really jazzed about?
Oh gosh, that's a fun question because I've had 17 years of total experience at NASA, and I worked on many different groups. Prior to this job that I'm in now, I spent the better part of a decade training astronauts how to spacewalk. So I'm an expert in the spacesuit and training the astronauts how to do it, and then watching over them in mission control. And there have been many just individual aha moments where maybe I found a better way to connect to the astronaut and explain something that was maybe technically difficult to understand. But now I found the right phrasing, and it's like, light bulb for them. Now they get it. Now they understand the system and what's at stake. This new position that I'm in, I've been here for a little less than a year now. But even then, this one project that I'm working on where we're looking at basically how many EVAs could we cram in there. And it's starting to coalesce. It started as this kind of a vague, broad idea. And now we're narrowing down on all the individual details of how are we actually going to do this. And as of late, this last couple of weeks, we've had quite a few like, aha moments. And then just today, actually, we were looking at some ideas, some inspiration for our astronauts are going to be doing some experiments and payloads on the moon. So what should that be? And we got to go tour some payloads that are actually being designed for the moon. And we saw them. And my team lead and I, we looked at each other like, oh, that would be a good one. That's a really great one that'll fit in our timeline scenario. So we're like diligently taking notes and like, okay, let's work that into our storyline because we're building a story for our test subjects. So yeah, almost every day there's these little aha moments that pop up everywhere, and they're really exciting when they happen.
I love that. That's got to be very gratifying.
It is. It is.
Now, when when we go to the moon, are we're going to different parts of the moon that we've never been to before?
So previously, we went to a bunch of different landing sites on the moon, but they were much more central to the equator of the moon. This time, we're targeting the south pole of the moon for many, many reasons. It's going to enable us to maintain constant communication with the Earth. You don't have to worry about, being rotated away from the Earth, that kind of thing. And there's a lot of valid science to be had at the poles. We've got areas where there is permanent sun, there's permanent shadow, and then there's areas where you can get a little mix of both. And so that for every one question we answer, it spawns off 10 more because of scenarios like this of, okay, but now we're going to be in this environment. So how is that going to change? Like, well, back to the lab, run another science experiment, and let's find out. And then we answered that. But in the process of answering that, we just uncovered 10 more. And it just becomes this exponential. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, like, oh my God, we're never going to answer everything. But we're going to get a much better idea than where we were. And with that, we'll get confident enough to accept the risk, go back to the moon, and then, gosh, once we land back on the moon, we're going to learn so much. And for every one question we answer, we're going to have 50 more because now we're actually there and in the moment and a real human being having a real human experience. And it's going to be incredible. I'm excited. That's going to be an amazing ride.
What has been your biggest challenge, and how did you overcome it?
Personally, I'd say for me, for a long time, I really struggled with I want to say confidence was a big deal. I remember growing up through high school, through college, and even in the early stages in my career, and honestly, even up through till today, where that nasty little voice in your head is just talking to you saying, oh, you're not good enough. You can't be one of those nasty people. They're rocket scientists, they're geniuses. And who are you? You're not that. And
Oh, come on, you're a rocket scientist.
I know, right? That's what I have to tell myself, like, shut up. You've been here for 17 years. What are you doing? But yeah, I think back when I was much younger as a student and I'm facing academic challenges because like I was struggling with math. And I'm just thinking, my gosh, if I can't get this, I can't work at NASA. There goes my whole dream. And you start spiraling.
Yeah.
And so I was very fortunate to have teachers, family, friends who were there to push me during my most vulnerable moments when I'm willing to accept defeat for myself, but they were not. And they're like, absolutely not. Get your butt back in there, study harder, take that test again if you have to. You're not quitting on yourself because you're good enough to do this. And I think finally I started to believe it. I started to get my small successes here and there that started to add up. And I actually started to believe myself like, oh my gosh, this might actually be possible. And then that bit of positivity starts to feed and you start to grow in that. And I'm much better now. I'm a lot more confident. And anytime I start to feel myself trying to pull back because I'm scared of what's just been presented in front of me, and I start thinking, oh, I don't know, this is too big. I don't know if I can do this. And I tell myself, no. Think of all the success we've had in the past, all the other times that I pulled back because I was scared, but then we pushed through and it was amazing. And now here I am. So like, let's just do it again, roll it again,
Well, let
I
me
tell
ask
people
you this.
when you climb the mountain, it's just one step at a time. You don't have to climb the whole mountain at once, but you're going to climb little peaks and valleys on your way up.
That's good advice. I like that. All of this research and testing and basically your job now, is that preparing you for something else even down the road? You know where I'm
Oh, I
going?
sure hope so. Yes, it's no secret. I would love to be an astronaut myself. That was the original inspiration when I was a kid. I want to be an astronaut when I grow up, and I still do. And I'm very fortunate that I've had the pleasure to train many an astronaut. And as a result, I've gotten to have a lot of the same experiences they've had, such as I've been in the spacesuit. In order to be a good instructor, I need to know what I'm talking about. And so I've got to do a lot of these things where I get to simulate an astronaut's lifestyle and their work experience. And that's been incredible and has only fueled my passion further. And so I have applied, I think, 4 times now, been rejected 4 times now, but that's okay. That's very normal. I'm still very young in the grand scheme of things when it comes to astronauts. So I'm just going to keep my head up and get lots more experience and get that resume bulked up even more.
I think your lucky number will be 5, okay?
It's my favorite number. Lucky number 5. It's my personal favorite. So let's go for that. I like
Okay.
that thought.
I'm putting that out there for you, Eryn.
And I've often said, even if it doesn't happen, I'm okay with that because of the incredible things that I've gotten to be a part of here at NASA and the things that I've gotten to achieve personally, professionally, as a team member. And it's just really cool. It's something I can definitely hang my hat on at the end of this career.
Now, I did read about you a little bit because your parents were in the military.
Yes.
So you were in Florida and you're from the Philippines?
Yes.
You were born, I had
Yeah,
no
so
idea.
yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah, people ask me, "Where are you from?" I'm like, Big one. I grew up in a half a dozen different places." And yes, my parents were both Air Force. They met stationed together in Montana.
Mhm.
Eventually, my dad got assigned to the Philippines, and then that's where I came into the scene. And then we came back to the States, and I bounced around stateside, yeah, about a half dozen different places, one of those being Florida in the mid-90s.
Was it
And
that
during
shuttle launch?
the prime of the shuttle. Yep,
Yes.
exactly. And I remember it was 1993, and I'm like 8 years old, and my parents had taken my sister and I out to the causeway, and they explained, "Hey, if you look off in the distance there, that little thing out there, that's a rocket ship about to blast off. These people called astronauts are going to go into space." And that was an incredible experience to see. And of course, living in Florida, going to school there, you're taking so many field trips to the Kennedy Space Center and watching videos of astronauts floating around and playing with their food. And what kid doesn't look at that and go, "That's awesome." And for me, that was an easy pick. Like, yep, done. Sign me up. And I never wavered from it. My whole academic career was always, I want to be an astronaut. We took some scenic routes along the way. I thought maybe I wanted to be maybe a doctor astronaut at one point, or various other forms of science or engineering. But finally, it's coalesced into engineering, and still with that focus of hopefully someday an astronaut.
Yeah. All of this is just preparing you for that.
Yeah, I like to
that
think
big-
so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, when they come to be like, "All right, who wants to be an astronaut?" I can be like, "I've got like at
Yeah.
least half the requirements and experience, so I kind of got a head start here. Like, come on, man, put me in, coach."
Do you have any advice or a resource that you'd like to share with everyone before we wrap up?
I always tell people, do not be afraid of failure. Failure has been a big and important part of my journey. I have failed so many times. I have failed tests. I have failed exams, and so many benchmarks where it was really easy to just throw my hands up and say, "I'm not good enough. I'm clearly not good enough." But failure was good because we learn a lot from our failures. I know
Yeah.
at NASA, we like to joke that failure is not an option. But when it comes to at least the path that I took, failure was totally an option, and it's okay, and it doesn't have to be the end all be all. So if you're striving for something, no matter how big or small, it's okay to fail at it and then come back again, reassess, learn from that lesson, and try again and fail again. And that's okay too. Just keep going. And then eventually you're gonna succeed. And then, like I said earlier, you start having these successes that you build on, build on, build on. You'll have those peaks and valleys. You're going to have a setback every now and then, and that's okay too, because even mountains have valleys. So you just keep going up.
It's an opportunity to learn.
Yeah. And you're going to be amazed at what you discover. Nobody's path is linear. My path's been all over the place, and what an incredible time it's been. I've met amazing people. I've gotten opportunities that I never even knew existed because suddenly my path went like that. But then there was something really fun and cool to do over here. And that kind of helped to feed me back here or put me on an even better path than what I thought I had planned for myself. So that's okay.
You're young and you have an amazing future ahead of you, I'm
Thank
sure.
you.
And I can't wait to see. You're going to be going up in space. And I'm like, I know her.
I hope so. I got a whole list. I got to make a list of shout outs to people. Just spend every day floating by the window. Shout out to this, shout out to so-and-so. I sure hope so. And it's one of those, like, you're not an island. Your success is shared by your entire village around you. And so I certainly want to be grateful and humble to where I am now. And I sure hope I can thank them from space someday. That would be an incredible opportunity to show my gratitude.
Well, speaking of gratitude, we're very thankful that you joined us here today on LaunchPod and
Thank
shared your
you.
experiences with us. Eryn, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure, truly.
Eryn Andrews, NASA engineer on LaunchPod. And if you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to leave us a review, subscribe, and until next time, keep looking up.
Don't miss an episode. Subscribe on your favorite streaming platform. Watch us on YouTube and follow us on social media. Stars LaunchPod, propelling us forward, one launch at a time.